Welcome to the complete history of the Ulfstead Castle Railway, Part 2. Before I continue with anything further, I just want to apologize in advance for my voice, as it sounds a little weird. I'm getting over a fever right now. But that should be the only major glaring issue you see with the video, just my nasally voice, you know. But anyway, so let's get into it. So this railway has an absurd amount of lore behind it, which is kind of basically why this video is split into two parts. And the first one was part 1, uploaded around 2 weeks ago before I went on a big Bahamas trip, which is probably where I got this fever from, but who knows? That's another story. And this is part 2, which will cover the string of events that unfolded post 1984, aka after the Great Warton expansion. And now then, without further ado, let's get into the remaining history of the Ulfstead Castle Railway. The expansion of Great Warton was the last of the major expansions for the UCR, but there was still a string of events that occurred since then, and these were mostly smaller incidents that unfolded. In 1985, a rake of Ulfstead Castle Railway coaches were due out from Knapford to Corbin's Gate for maintenance, and this was when the certain center in the yard, known as Sydney, would accidentally couple up the idling Annie and Clarabelle to the consist while Thomas was gone. And after returning to the yard, Thomas would see his coaches being dragged on by an unknowing Caitlin, and would immediately chase her across the entire island, non-stop. It wasn't until the train was halted that the chase would be concluded. And this incident led to several delays for Thomas's branch line. And according to Lee's film report, Thomas would later be seen cursing out Sydney for hours after when he returned to Knapford. And Sydney would actually be removed from being Knapford's pilot following this. And don't worry, Annie and Clarabelle were just fine afterwards. It is basically the events of the season 18 episode Not So Slow Coaches. In 1987, a deal was struck up between the Ulfstead Castle Railway and the Duke and Duchess of Boxford to loan their privately owned A4 engine known as Spencer to haul excursions on the UCR from time to time. And these loanings of Spencer still occur in present day. In 1996, Sir Robert Norby II retired, and his son, Sir Robert Norby III, took his place as the overseeing manager of the UCR. In 2004, a new custom-built engine for the narrow-gauge section of the UCR arrived. The one and only Little Barford was his engine, and he became the UCR's third narrow-gauge engine alongside Duke and Millie. In 2009, Kenji arrived from Japan after being purchased by the railway, much to Hiro's delight. And Hiro and Kenji get along quite well and are good friends. In 2010, Sir Robert III retired, and his daughter, Madame Rachel Norby I, succeeded him as the UCR's manager, and thus a new era began with Madame Rachel at the helm, and it is the era we are still in today. I'll be damned. We actually did it. We have now covered the Ulfstead Castle Railway in its entirety. It may have taken about 3 weeks in 2 whole parts, but hey, we actually did it. A win is a win, you know? It is one of my favorite railways out of all the railways in my little AU of mine, as I've been spending a long time crafting it. And I've been spending about a year or 2 trying to formulate it. Seeing this video complete is so satisfying. Thank you all very much for watching this episode of Railways of the Porterverse, and I will see you all in the next one.